Okay, we had a little tech issue at first, but we're good now, hopefully.
Let's talk about Defula.
Let's talk about Defula, which we did not do the first time. So, for those of you who don't know, Defula, not Dracula, Defula is a 1975 horror movie, black and white, and it was directed by a deaf person, and it was filmed with deaf people as actors for deaf people. It's entirely in sign language, and the original film had no voiceover. But then I think the releases after do have voiceover. But I heard about it a couple months back, and I was like, wait a second, I absolutely need to see this. And also because it reminded me of Daphne's obsession with Jeffenstein and Switched at Birth, which I found out was just a ripoff of that. But I guess they used Defula because of the copyright. Anyways, I go on eBay immediately, and I type in Defula, and I find the DVD for Defula that says, rare, hearing impaired DVD. And I say, okay, sure, buy it for $15. And then I had a little screening at the apartment last weekend.
What a score.
I know, it was a blast. And the movie is odd.
Odd, but in a really iconic way.
I had so much fun.
It's so fun. The plot is impossible to follow.
And it's not because we couldn't hear or we couldn't understand the signing.
No, the signing was overall pretty clear.
Yeah, for 1975, it has not changed that much.
Not changed that much. There were some weird filming choices, I would say.
Yeah, they did Switched at Birth where they filmed some people from behind the back and whatnot. They did a lot of finger spelling.
They did do a lot of finger spelling.
Like very Rochester method. Rochester method was like an old version of signing where people just finger spelled everything.
Ooh, that's Parlo's nightmare. There were a lot of bell bottoms.
Fantastic outfits.
Yeah, great hair.
Beautiful hair.
A prosthetic nose.
A prosthetic nose that was bordering on the verge of being anti-Semitic. But I think the director is Jewish, so that's fine. It was camp.
It was very camp.
And you were saying before, like, we should have a shadow cast, a deaf shadow cast of this movie, and I could not agree more.
You should make that happen. You should produce that.
I should.
I would love that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, go see Defula. It's also on YouTube for free with the voiceover. And if you want captions, I'm pretty sure YouTube could auto-generate them. I don't know how good they'll be. The voiceover was pretty easy to understand.
Yeah, the voiceover was very clear.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty decent job. The quality is an old black and white horror film. And I don't think it was ever released, so wherever it was being distributed was taken somehow, and the quality is kind of shitty.
Yeah, but it's not too distracting from.
Yeah, it's not unwatchable. But just a warning.
Anyway, I've got to tell you about this Target ad I keep getting.
Oh, from watching Switched at Birth.
Yes. So okay. I'm watching with ads, but I keep getting distracted because this ad that's playing, and this episode will come out in December, so I'm sure it'll be playing even more.
Okay.
Is like a woman is on a date with a man who is clearly Santa, but she doesn't notice that he's Santa. But he's, like, being very forthcoming about the fact that he's Santa. But they're on a date, and he's like, so what kind of stuff is on your list? And she's like, my list? And he's like, yeah, like, what do you want? And she's like, oh, I don't really know. Thinking they're on a date. And he's like, well, I've already started my list.
I'm checking it twice.
And she's like, you have a list? And he's like, yeah. And he pulls it out, and then he's like, hold on. And he, like, goes to the other side of the room, and she opens the list, and she's like, a Wallow water bottle? He's hydrated. And then he comes back, and he's like, sorry, I had to add someone to the naughty list. And she goes, the naughty list? How do I get on there? And he's like, you want to be on the naughty list?
You want coal?
And then I think it clicks for her that he's Santa. But I just, like, why would you do that to Santa?
Is he hot Santa?
He's, like, younger, like mid-40s kind of trim.
Okay.
With like a much cleaned up beard Santa.
Why they do that to Santa?
I don't know. It's really disturbing to me.
And
it
need to yassify him.
Every break. Every ad break. I just get that ad. So I have to see it every time. Poor Santa.
This sounds like the longest ad ever.
It's actually so short too. So much happens in so little time, but it's really disturbing.
I gotta find this ad after. Do you want to get to the show?
Yeah, let's get to the show.
Cue music. All right. Switch to Birth Season 1, Episode 8, Pandora's Box, released July 25th, 2011.
Oh my god, I did not look up the painting.
Me neither, actually. I was just like, oh, Pandora's Box. That makes sense. I'm sure there's many paintings with that name.
There's so many paintings. Okay. It's not that deep. The box is the guitar case.
Yeah, curiosity leads Daphne to open a container, releasing curses upon mankind. We pick up right where we left off. Daphne's in that bedroom looking at the pictures in the guitar case.
Yeah.
And Regina walks in and is like, oh.
This is just a side note, and it's not important for the emotional moment, but she's wearing shoes in her bedroom, and I hated that.
Oh, I mentioned it later on. She wears shoes on the bed. When she's listening to her angry rock music, her feet are on the bed.
Ugh.
Her dirty purple Converse are on the bed.
Do you still wear Converse at all?
No, not really.
Okay, then I feel good slandering them. I hate Converse so much, and I also think they're kind of ugly. And I think the fact that they take like 10 minutes to put on and take off is just like abysmal. I know it's not actually that long, but
I like them. This sounds old. I sound like an old lady now, but my complaint is that they just don't have a lot of support for my feet.
No, I have terrible feet, so I agree. That's one of the reasons I never wore them.
I loved them in middle school and high school. I always wore the flat, not the high tops,
like
but
really
the low top black Converse, always.
Those were also the ones I had. But I just feel like they're not, especially in New York, where you're going into people's apartments and taking off your shoes typically. Parlo's brother, whenever he visits us, he like only wears Converse.
Okay.
And so every time we're exiting and entering the home, he takes like 5 minutes extra time.
It was also the same growing up with friends who wore Doc Martens.
Yes.
With the laces.
Yeah.
10 minutes to put those on and off.
Yeah. They were always like, I have a blister. It's like, yeah, because of those damn shoes.
I know. What about socks?
I had a pair of Doc Martens that I bought off of eBay. Vintage red leather Doc Martens that were like a size and a half too big. So I had to wear double socks with them. Mm-hmm. And like one pair of had to be those like really fluffy socks.
Yep.
And because they were a size and a half too big, they were also fucking heavy. Oh, so I was just like clomping around in these big shoes.
That's awful.
I know.
Anyways, yeah. Regina steps into the bedroom and is like, uh-oh, just got caught. Not sure why she brought this to the apartment. That seems like that was a stupid idea.
It's so risky.
So risky.
She probably should have gotten rid of it.
Just put it in storage. Not even Melody's garage. You're getting paid so well now with the Mission Hills tippers at your hair salon.
Yeah, rent
Get
your
a storage
own
unit.
Storage unit.
Then no one can see that. But anyways, yeah, so we know that now Regina knew about the switch a long time ago. And the two of them are about to talk about it until Catherine interrupts wielding a scarf for Regina.
The scarf was so funny. It's a symbol of her friendship.
It is.
She said we're friends now. She decided they're friends in like the last episode.
And that's going to be destroyed soon.
She brings her a scarf and she's like prattling on about how she's found it and not reading the room at all.
At one point she's like, did I interrupt something? And Daphne's like, no, I'm fine.
Only after Daphne does the most obvious like upset, she like stomps to get her mom's attention.
Oh yeah, and she's like, are you gonna tell her?
Obviously it doubles as just like that is a way to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
But also she's being a moody teenager. It was very fun to see Daphne like act out a little bit.
I know. She does a lot of acting out this episode. Yeah. And thank God.
She's earned it. But they're signing and Catherine's there. And Catherine is on her ASL journey. So she probably has a couple of little basics down. And they are being so obvious. Regina literally, she does the common universal one.
Like the pointer finger to the lips, like shush.
Yeah, that means hush, don't talk about it in, I think universally, like pretty much every language. If you do that, people are going to be quiet. So Catherine's watching this interaction and then being like, I wonder what's wrong.
I was like, you can pick up some cues.
Yeah. Again, you can read the room a little, but she barely gets there. And then she's
also,
like,
Daphne's talking about Catherine in front of Catherine. Because she's like, are you going to tell her? And she points to Catherine. And Catherine is like, I don't know if they're talking about me or not.
Yeah, wonder. Yeah, but Catherine's just like, anyway, do you want to go get an ice blended?
What's a nice blended?
Like a frappuccino.
Oh, okay.
I think they couldn't call it a frappuccino because that's, I think, trademarked by Starbucks.
I thought it was a slushie.
I mean, if they make it wrong, it's basically a slushie. And then Regina's left standing there with her sad little scarf wrapped around her. I do also want to circle back to when they first try to have a conversation and Daphne's like, what the fuck? And Regina's like, well, I kind of knew. And then Catherine interrupts. They're already sim-comming.
Yeah.
So I had a question for you about that.
Go on.
Or I guess more of a proposed... I've imagined a backstory in my head.
As to why she sim-coms?
As to why she sim-coms.
Okay.
And it's related to us talking about her language deprivation period. Daphne's language deprivation period. And also her learning sign late and her mom learning sign late. Okay. I wonder if they sim-com because for Daphne and Regina, like the foundational years of their relationship took place in spoken English. And so even though they both sign now, like I think it's for us. Obviously. But I'm proposing...
But you're trying to justify why on earth are they doing this.
Yes. Especially when Daphne's, like, incredibly upset. I would think that your brain would default to one language because sim-comming is so difficult and more of a strain. I would think that you would...
Why do serious conversation?
Pick one. And I would think she would pick ASL.
Yes.
But instead she's sim-comming and Regina's sim-comming. And again, I do wonder if it's because they were, presumably, Daphne had some English.
Right, she has some English because, the critical period to learn a language is before the age of 5.
Yeah.
So she went there for 3. So she definitely has 3 years of exposure to English.
Yeah.
But then 5 years of nothing. I don't know. So you're saying because Regina learned late when Daphne was, 7 or 8?
Not just because of that, but because they had their first 8 years of a relationship.
Maybe that's how they started.
They communicated in English.
I do wonder if that's how they started communicating together, is that they sim-commed to learn the language. And maybe that's just what they always do together.
Yeah.
And I think, this is a way of justifying it. And obviously,
the
reason they're doing it is because it's for a hearing audience. But yeah. And maybe it was Regina's way of trying to learn. Because I'm sure Daphne was picking up much faster. She was young and a child. And then I assume she went to a deaf school very quickly.
Yeah.
And she picked up the language very fast. And maybe that was what his way of learning. Was sim-comming and then picking up the pieces in between and maybe saying English when she didn't know the sign.
Yeah.
And then maybe Daphne was sign when she didn't know the words in English. I don't know.
Anyway, that's just like a security blanket for me so that I don't keep getting annoyed about it.
I know. Yeah. John confronts Regina and he says, so, the deposition's tomorrow. The lawyers apparently have something like a fun little secret. Do you have any idea what it is? And she's like, nope, sorry, no idea.
That's a crazy choice.
For Regina not to share.
I mean, what did she think was going to happen? Do you think she was just hoping it was something else?
Well, she said it's probably my DUIs.
Yeah, but you know she's lying.
Yeah.
I think she's just cornered and probably doesn't know what to do yet. She's still in shock.
Oh my god, the entire episode is her panicking and trying to hide everything.
Yeah, I was stressed for her this episode.
It was stressful to watch.
And then Daphne is at Buckner for her cooking class, and she bumps straight into Wilkie.
And she's like, I hate my mom, went to school.
And he's so cute, and he says, yeah.
Yeah, sure. He's suspended from school
That's
too.
True.
So he's like, I can't even be here anyway, so let's ditch.
And where do they go? East Riverside.
What I was really distracted by is that Daphne breaks into... She, hops over a fence.
Yes, it's her moment to be like, look, I'm from here. She, very skillfully scales a fence and hops over onto the river.
It's just like a bridge to over a canal.
So they filmed in LA. This is just the LA River.
Oh, great.
Which was, really weird for me to see. And also I was like, I would personally never walk down there, but love that for you guys.
Okay, great.
Yeah, they hop the fence. And she calls him Veal.
Yeah, she compares him to Veal, sheltered and raised in a box because he's being uncomfortable about being in East Riverside and he's worried about his car getting stolen. And this is funny because she's vegetarian. Very funny sentence to say.
And then Bae shows up at Carlton.
Yeah, she's waiting for Emmett at Carlton. And she said, hey, why'd you kiss me?
Yeah, she unloads on him.
He responds by kissing her again, and she reciprocates.
It's
then
so cute.
They decide to ditch school.
Well, first of all, she brings up Ty, who she hasn't brought up since he left.
Yeah, that's
being
true.
like, I was gonna pine for Ty and listen to Adele and make art, and now you've just like thrown that whole plan off.
I had a whole plan.
Yeah, and she's talking at him so fast. Meanwhile, he's
not hearing any of this.
No, but he's looking gorgeous. He looks
is.
so cute. He's just like smizing at her. And then when she stops talking, he's like, "Are you finished?" And then he kisses her again. And then they go to like some random public park.
Yeah, making out in the park. Really bold of them. John and Catherine are practicing for their deposition tomorrow.
Yes.
With the lawyer. I feel like the day before is very late to practice for something that important.
Agreed. And also they're not doing too well at it. I don't think I would do well at this either.
Absolutely not. People attacking me and my beliefs and
yeah, they basically
everything
just
I thought.
Rage bait you.
That's exactly what being a lawyer is. You're rage baiting people.
So it seems bad. And then Catherine's trying, she's struggling, and then John's kind of scoffing at her, and she's like, "Well, you try." And then the lawyer goes, "Okay, you want to talk about Sarah Lazar?" Who's that? Oh my god.
One of the things I noticed is that the lawyer asks, "Why didn't you notice your baby lost weight?" And then I want to drop a little fact, and that is that newborn babies can lose 5 to 10% of their body weight during the first 3 days.
Kara, the way I said that out loud at the TV watching it last night at like 1 a.m, I was like, newborns lose a lot of their body weight right after birth.
Duh.
That's like a famous thing.
They lose a lot of water weight, and then they also may not feed immediately, which is exactly what Catherine said. She said I had trouble feeding.
And then Regina's outside of her salon, and she's calling someone. I was like, oh my god, is she calling Angelo this early? That's crazy. But it's just the private investigator's office. She said,
didn't you ever hear the word private in private investigator? What's up with that?
I don't think she realizes how the law works, though. There's no, like, private investigator client privilege.
No, there is not. If they pay you or they subpoena you, yeah.
And then just one note there is that as she's, like, outside, Geraldo comes out and is like, okay, see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow. That's crazy.
That's very early.
That's so early for a salon. I've never gotten my hair cut before, like, 11 a.m.
Maybe some people want cuts before they go to work.
I feel that Regina is cutting the hair of Mission Hills women who don't have jobs. So I don't know why
Yeah, you're right.
Why they would be up that early.
10 a.m. at the earliest.
Yeah, and then Daphne and Wilkie are drinking by the side of the river.
And Wilkie tells Daphne, so you know Emmett is clearly in love with you, right? But he doesn't know Emmett's name, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, he should.
It was like Edward, Eddie.
Yes, and then Twilight mentioned, Twilight alert, Daphne's like, Emmett? And he goes, see, I knew it was a name from Twilight.
I was thinking, how does he not know Emmett's name? But I guess they only met once and they played in that band.
Doesn't Wilkie introduce Emmett to his poker buddies? Like, this is Guitar Face's new drummer. But Wilkie doesn't care like that. Wilkie's just, like, self-absorbed. He only really cares a little bit about Daphne, and that's it. And then himself. And then Toby, like, 1%.
And now we are back at the park with Emmett and Bay.
Oh, yeah.
They're making out in public. It's kind of gross, but also, I guess, cute.
Were you, you're not really a PDA person, huh?
No, not really.
I was a big, like, shameless PDA person in high school. Like, a typical teenager. Like, I would have seen no problem with this.
She is lying down on the blanket. I'm like, get up.
It's a lot. Still now, like, to see teenagers doing that, my reaction is like, aw, to be young.
No, I guess. Maybe I'm
when
too
it's
cynical.
Adults doing it now, I'm like, okay. But, yeah, when it's teenagers, I'm like, oh, to be young and in love. It's sweet.
That's true. But
yeah, they're really going at it.
They're really going at it. And Bay keeps interrupting to ask ASL questions. And she goes, hey, sign kiss. And he teaches her. And then she goes, wait, hey, sign laugh. And he teaches her. And then she interrupts again. He's like, I just want to make out.
Yeah.
And she asks him, do you ever use your voice? And what if you changed for me and you spoke?
This was rough to watch.
Yeah, and he rightfully says, girl, you gotta learn ASL. Sorry.
Yeah. And then she says, I'm on 3 different sites and I have my private lessons with you. I would love to suggest to Bay, take a class in person.
Yeah.
Take a class with someone you don't want to kiss.
I'm sure Carlton probably offers classes.
Probably, yeah. Right. Daphne's taking a cooking class at Buckner. Bay can go take a ASL class at Carlton.
Literally.
I think all of them, I think it's really odd that they're all, like, self-taught. The fact that Catherine Kennish wasn't like, and we're all going to take a class together as a family now. That seems
Kansas City is a large city with a sizable deaf population, especially because Carlton is there. Surely they must have some sort of class. Then Bay and Emmett go back to Emmett's house, and Bay finds that his bedroom is just a shrine to Daphne.
It's pretty bad.
It's like some are not even pictures of like Daphne and Emmett. Some are like school photos of Daphne when she was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
It's a little odd.
There's not much to defend here. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, she's rightfully weirded out.
Yeah, you can see the trepidation in her face, for
Yeah,
sure.
and this will continue.
Yeah. Emmett, maybe you should have cleared the shrine.
He probably didn't know she was coming over, but...
I do think this does speak to, like, he does love Daphne, but I don't know that he is, like, super active in his, like, and intentional in his crush on her, if that makes sense.
What do you mean by that?
The fact that Bae is like, you have all these pictures, this is weird, and he's like, it's not weird. She's my best friend.
I don't think he even occurs to him.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks about it like that. In his defense. Sorry to defend a man, but like, I will defend Emmett.
Where are his other deaf friends?
I also want to know that. We see him being like, when she shows up at Carlton, we get a shot of Emmett being like a cool guy, like with his motorcycle jacket, and he's signing to his friends that are off camera.
Show us the friends.
I know.
They didn't have the budget yet.
Yeah, I guess not.
Now we're back in East Riverside, and Wilkie's car is booted. Oh, man.
He had 9 unpaid parking tickets.
That's a lot.
A lot.
But it's okay because he has a boot guy. So they end up making out in the back of his Audi, I guess.
Daphne's a little drunk, and this is the first time we've seen drunk Daphne.
Yes.
And this will go on to be a trend. It turns out drunk Daphne is, like, she's interested in kissing. Like, she loves to get a little bit drunk and then kiss a boy she probably shouldn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Wilkie, you full permission.
Oh, yeah, I would kiss him sober. I don't think she needed the encouragement.
Austin Butler? There's so much making out in this episode.
There is a lot of making out. They get into his car. I do love that it's, like, daylight out still when they start making out. And then when we see them in the car later in the back of the car, pitch black. How long do we think they've been in there?
Oof. Maybe like 2 hours.
I would have had to pee.
And nothing has changed. Clothes are still on.
Clothes are kind of coming off, though.
She has some buttons off, but...
Yeah, she's got some buttons off. She's, like, ready to... She's like, yeah, I'm gonna have sex with Wilkie in the back of his booted car.
Yeah.
This is great. But then Wilkie brings up the switch. Why does he do
boner
this?
killer.
Yeah, not smooth, dude.
Yeah, he brings up the switch of birth thing while they're making out, which would also not turn me on.
She also says he's trying to talk to her, and she's like, I can't see your lips, and I don't want to.
Yeah, continue making out with me.
Yeah.
And then he goes, but I want to talk about
Your
the traumatic
trauma?
thing that just happened to you.
God,
and then she's like, well,
Wilkie.
you just killed it.
Yeah, he's cock-blocked himself. So, yeah, she's like, I'm gonna go get a ride. And then she cock-blocks Emmett as well.
Yeah, Bae is about to tell Emmett that she's ex-girl.
Huge moment.
Huge moment, but then Daphne blocks. Yeah, she texts him several times, but Bae is pissed.
They're, like, laying on their bed, kicking their feet 1 minute, and then she's storming out. This does start a trend that I really don't like in Bae and Emmett's relationship, where when she's upset and Emmett's trying to talk to her, she'll be like, I don't understand what you're saying. Even though she does. She just, like, doesn't want to hear him.
If you don't know sign, he's still clearly very easy to understand.
He's, like, basically doing mime work for her.
His lip reading is very easy.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't understand you and I don't want to.
Yeah, it's basically, she doesn't want to hear it.
And in the future, whenever they fight, she falls back to that a lot. Even when she's, like, fluent. She'll be like, what are you saying? And turn away from him. And that is very frustrating.
I would be furious if someone did that to me.
Yeah.
Fuming.
So she storms out and she pulls down the blanket off the Daphne shrine as she leaves.
I let they put the blanket up in the first place to just cover it, but yeah.
Oh my god, and then we get a Toby sighting.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Toby is barely in this, but he's just looking through boxes for some reason, and he finds a pic of John in underwear. And I guess an old Sports Illustrated ad.
It's like a Calvin Klein ad.
He was holding something in his hand.
I think he was holding a baseball.
Oh, that makes sense.
I posted the photo up close on our Instagram story today because it was so funny to me. But yeah, he just finds that, and it like brings him so much joy. And then he's gonna spend the rest of the episode
looking for more,
and then showing every single person that's like in crisis in this episode. He pops up to be like,
look
at this funny photo. Like 2 seconds.
So question, was this photoshopped, or is this an old picture of DW Moffat?
It looks kind of photoshopped to me because his head, no offense, DW, but his head feels like small for his body, or like the proportions seem wrong.
The head seems disproportionate to the rest of the body.
Yeah.
And it's like a short, curly haircut. But his hair is straight now. It's kind of odd.
And it's so funny because we've just settled on, I think he's very sexy. I've decided, the actor. But he looks not cute at all.
No, it's
much younger photo.
Not for me.
Anyway, Emmett picks Daphne up, and Wilkie's like, girl, you're such a liar.
You are.
And then Bae tries to call the army. Bae like goes home.
Calls the army?
Yeah, she must just like call the training base or whatever. And she's like, can I speak to Ty? And they're like, no. And she's like, what if I'm pregnant? Can I speak to him then?
And they hang up on her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what if I called Liam now?
My jaw dropped when Liam's name came out of her mouth.
Get a grip.
Liam mentioned.
And Toby says the same thing, basically. He's like, why are you doing this to yourself?
He's like, why are you doing this? Look at this ad.
Why don't you look at this old picture of your father instead? And then she's like, you're right, that does cheer me up.
And then Regina's outside.
Exterior driveway.
She's trying to put this guitar case in her car.
It's taken her a very long time to figure out how to put the car is not that small.
I know she's frazzled, but yeah, the guitar case also is not that big. There's not that much stuff in her car.
She's put in the back seat.
She tries to put it through the driver's side first. And then she tries to put it in the backseat, but she like barely tries. And then she goes and opens her trunk, which looks like the smallest place of all to put it.
And apparently that fits.
Apparently it fits there.
It's like she's trying to do like a square peg in a round hole like the entire time.
Just a mess. But yeah, literally everyone crawls out. Every family member crawls out of the woodwork to watch her do this. And be like, hey, what you doing? What you doing with the guitar case?
It's kind of late to donate it.
Yeah, Goodwill's not open. Bae's like, let me make art with it.
But Bae knows something suspicious with that. Oh, for sure. And Regina is panicking, running. And she does end up driving to some dumpster to dump the guitar case, but then she can't. There's too many memories.
Yeah. Yikes.
So that was a waste of a trip. And you also just brought so much attention to yourself.
I know. Now everyone's going to be dumb. Like,
why'd you do that?
The deal with the guitar case? And Bae, in fact, texts Daphne, what's the deal with the guitar case? And Daphne ignores her while her and Emmett are outside her old house in East Riverside.
Which I guess is vacant. They never rented it out.
She's spiraling about how she misses her old life. And Emmett's like, but now you have a pool. Daphne in that damn pool.
Goddamn pool again.
Yeah. And then she reveals to Emmett that Regina knew.
And the first thing he says is, you need to tell Bae. And she's like, I don't give a shit about Bae right now. You need to support me.
Yeah. It's tough choice, Emmett, to be like, and does Bae know? Like, maybe we wait. Maybe ask like 2 or 3 follow-up questions first before doing that. So yeah, that obviously sends Daphne into a spiral.
And then she gets that text with the flip phone with the iPhone interface.
And it says, what was in the guitar case? And she's like, I'm going to ignore this because now I'm clocking that something's going on with Bae and Emmett even more, and I'm mad about it. Yeah. And she signs when they're talking, and Emmett's like, well, you need to tell Bae. Daphne signs like, I need your support.
Yes.
But the captions say, I need you on my side right now.
Yes, I did notice that.
Which was interesting to me. Like, the captions or the script clearly wants it to be more of like a me versus Bae thing. But the way it was interpreted...
But she just signs, like, I just need your support, which is not as opposing.
Yeah.
I did notice that, too. I didn't write that down, but I'm glad you caught that.
I just thought it was a little,
I wrote another one layer of, like, a mismatch between the sign and the captions, which I'll get to.
Anyway, they go back to Emmett's, and...
She decides to crash at Emmett's house.
She crashes at Emmett's house, and we know she slept there, because they have Daphne on the couch with all of her hair, like, pushed over her face.
Yes.
Like she's rolling
a messy sleeper
in her sleep, I guess. It was an odd choice to me. It doesn't
I can't
really
sleep like that.
No.
My hair's always up.
Yeah, I need my hair not on my face at all.
Did you notice the shirt she's wearing?
No.
She's wearing a shirt that says Pa. like PAH.
Yeah.
Which is ASL slang that means like finally, success, eureka. So I was like, did she didn't wear that shirt before. Did she borrow Emmett's shirt?
Oh my god.
Or did she just happen to have a t-shirt on her? Not clear.
Could be
or
Melodies.
Maybe it's Melodies.
It's probably Melodies.
Because it did look like a woman's cut.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, Daphne might have clothes at Emmett's place. I don't know if they're friends like that. But I did think it was a missed opportunity on the showrunners to not create like a gag moment where we see Daphne waking up in Emmett's bed. And then we see the reveal that like she slept there, but he slept on the couch kind of thing.
Sure.
And I felt it was sort of not on brand for Emmett to let her take the couch. Like, I feel like he'd be
he would offer the bed as a gentleman.
He would, yeah.
Yeah.
But
maybe they don't explain that.
Maybe he's kind of like, Bae is not going to like it if Daphne sleeps in my bed. I don't know.
That could also be true. Maybe he's thinking more about what Bae would want.
But he wakes Daphne up so sweetly.
I know, he does a little gentle tap on the arm, which is the correct way to wake up a deaf person.
Yeah, but it's also just like really cute.
It is. This is the part where I noticed the mismatch between the captions and the sign-in, because he's like, are you going to go back and talk to your mom? And Daphne's signs, I guess we'll discuss it later. But the captions say, I guess I'll find out the rest tonight. I guess I'll find out the rest tonight instead of like, we'll discuss it later. I don't know. I just thought it was like an interesting, like finding out versus talking about it.
I'm really curious, to the process that they used. If the script was, I guess I'll find out tonight. And then that's how, I mean, I don't think Katie LeClaire was doing her own interpretations. I think the sign language interpreter was helping that transition. Yeah, one of the coaches. But so, I guess I wonder.
I really want to know, like, how that comes about. I don't know.
Yeah. And then she finds printed out photos of Bae and Emmett, like, on the coffee table.
Specifically from Bae and Emmett's day in the junkyard. And she's not happy about it.
Yeah. What were those doing out? They were just, like, randomly
on the coffee table? Put them in your room.
Swap some Daphne pics out.
This is, like, the last thing she wants to see. I get it.
So she's crashing out a little. Also, just ties into, like, big theme this episode is photos of Bae and Daphne.
Yes.
Like, physical printed out photos of Bae and Daphne.
Physical media is a big winner here. It's time to get ready for the deposition.
Yeah.
Dress up time.
There's so rarely moments, like sweet, tender mother-daughter moments between Bae and Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine's trying on blazers, and then they talk a little bit about why they're doing the deposition. Toby is digging through one of the many garages looking for more pictures of his dad. He's got nothing else going on.
Well, he's suspended.
Oh, that's right. He's suspended.
So he's like killing time.
So he shows the ad to Regina. Remember, he's showing it to everyone. And there's a fun metaphor from Regina, because she says, some things are better left in the past, and you're better off not digging around.
Well, Regina, it's too late.
I know.
We already dug.
And then she makes one more passive-aggressive dig at John and Catherine before they leave for the deposition. She says, break a leg, and when you do, you can sue the hospital again. What the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
This affected you, too. All eyes are on you right now. This is not the time to be...
a dick.
Be a dick, yeah.
And then we're at the deposition.
Deposition time!
And John and Catherine are actually doing a really good job at first.
They are.
They're remaining very calm, giving good answers, but then...
Dun dun.
The opposition gives them a DNA test to read, and then he's like, look at the date, 98, so 2 years after the girls were born. Obviously, they flip out.
So they're rightfully furious and very confused and hurt. So they're driving home, and exterior driveway, everyone is converging in and ambushing Regina.
She's cornered. She's backed into a corner.
It's time to confess.
There's a big family meeting where Regina's basically on trial. But
no Toby.
Yeah, notably Toby is missing. He's not in this room. They fill him in off screen, I guess. But she's very flustered. She said, Angelo accused me of having an affair. And then she brings up how traumatic the meningitis was.
Right.
And that she was in the ICU for 8 days. And then while she was in the ICU, Angelo took a swab of her DNA and had it tested against his, and then was like, I'm leaving.
And he says, this proves that Daphne is not related to me, so therefore you cheated. And Regina said, no way.
Yeah.
She has Daphne tested again. And I assume this is where the DNA test that Catherine and John read at the deposition comes from. But yeah, the results come back the same, that the two aren't related. She was mine at that point. It's been 3 years.
And I think she was scared. She says she was scared because she was a single parent and an alcoholic.
Right, unemployed.
Unemployed. She'd already had one or multiple DUIs at this point.
Right. And she was like, I was going to lose custody of my baby.
And she was probably right, because the Kenishes
absolutely
have already tried once to petition for full custody. I mean, they never took it to court, but they were talking amongst themselves about doing it when the girls are 16 or almost 16. So definitely when she was 3, they totally would have done that.
I have no doubt that they would have done that. So I do see where Regina's coming from there.
Like, she was in a no-win situation.
Exactly.
I do like that even though Daphne is obviously very upset, she does yell at John when he keeps...
let her talk.
Yeah, when he keeps interrupting Regina. And that was nice. But, yeah, and then she's like, after I found out, I got my life together, I got sober. This doesn't really track with the story she told Toby in the poker episode.
What did she tell Toby?
She said it took her, like...
being accountable to other people.
A bunch of times. And, like, it only happened once CPS threatened to take Daphne away from her. And I'm like, how long after the meningitis situation did CPS threaten to take her away? But whatever. She's giving us summarized sort of... It's a TLDR version.
Oh my God, we know nothing from the ages between 3 and 8. It drives me crazy. When did CPS? We don't know. We have no idea.
Why wasn't CPS like, hey, your deaf child doesn't have access to any language? I don't know.
That's not CPS's problem. CPS is more like abuse and neglect. I guess that is
abuse and neglect.
Right?
Like, hey, here's a pamphlet.
Yeah, here's a pamphlet.
Some access to educational materials.
How about we help you take a class?
Yeah.
But Bay, rightfully, at this point is like, you kept Daphne, great, but what about me? You robbed me of the experience of getting to know my bio parents.
And Regina's like, well, I hired a private investigator to tail you.
It's okay. I followed you all the time.
Yeah.
Not helpful.
I was always watching. Creepy.
And that's also terrifying to know that you were being watched all through your childhood.
For sure.
Terrifying.
She storms off and Catherine follows.
Catherine is being more empathetic. She's giving her tissues. I think also she's doing like the mother bear thing of like, I think I get it.
That makes sense as the other mother in the situation. Like, that Catherine would understand the most. But yeah, John is fuming and is basically like, we're going to get custody. He goes and tells Catherine he wants custody. Bay runs off to Emmett and she's sobbing and he's saying, you got to slow down.
Yeah, he's not understanding any of this. She's really vomiting.
And she's like, this can't work. And then he grabs her arm and pulls her back. And turns out it can work because sobbing into someone's shoulder is kind of...
It's universal.
It's universal. Aww. Yeah, and then here come the shoes on the bed.
Purple Converse on the bed, tapping her feet, angrily listening to music. Time for SimCom again. Regina comes in and she says, I made a choice that I thought was best for everyone. And that is tough because throughout this whole thing, she does say, like, I did what I thought was best. But it's kind of like she made the choice for everyone. But is it really a choice if no one else has a say in it?
She becomes really defensive with Daphne in a way that she doesn't with anyone else who's, like, upset about this.
Yeah,
with
and
Daphne,
she does say that here.
She's like, I raised you and I did a good job, so you shouldn't be mad at me. If you had grown up here, it would have been all different.
And I think she implies that, like, you wouldn't have learned sign. You would not have been a part of the
Okay, well,
community.
with you, she didn't get to learn sign until she was 8, you asshole. So, like, I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
And neither does Daphne. Daphne says, I will never know now.
Right. Because you robbed me of that experience.
Regina just goes about it all wrong. I don't know why. She basically starts yelling at Daphne like any of this is Daphne's fault. She should be begging for Daphne's forgiveness and understanding. And also, she should be okay with not getting those things because that's a 15-year-old.
Also, she just found out 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
give her a second.
Give her some space, give her some time, give her some perspective, like...
And which they do. John is like, you gotta leave. And Daphne is also like,
yeah,
I need some space from you.
Yeah, how do you feel about this? Like, I don't think that John should be like, we're gonna get custody. But I think it's totally in his rights to be like, I do not want you on my property right now.
I think that's fair to need some space from someone you're angry with.
Yeah.
So you don't do anything stupid or say anything stupid. Gives you time to think. Yeah. Take a walk.
Or just like as a parent, I don't want you near the kids for a while because your actions upset them so much.
Yeah, it's tough because Daphne is legally not their child. So
John wants to change that.
Yeah, John wants to change that. But also, I think Daphne's old enough now to say when she wants space.
Another thing that made me mad, and I wanted to know your opinion, is she turns Daphne's music off.
That was annoying.
And, like, has her take the headphones off. And it's like, girl, what? So you can simcom? Maybe just fucking sign.
I guess the music is probably distracting and it was really loud for Daphne.
Mean, whatever.
But yeah, I'd be furious.
That's like part of the beauty of sign language.
If my partner or my parents took the headphones off my head,
I would lose it.
I would lose it. I'm already mad.
Right. She's already so pissed. And Regina comes in like on this high horse. Yeah, so high and mighty about the way that she raised Daphne.
I know.
She's just forgotten about those 5 fucking years, I guess. I don't know.
I'm mad about those 5 years. I think we're always going to be mad about them.
Yeah, and I'm going to hold them against Regina forever.
No, we should continue talking about.
Yeah.
The dark years.
It's worse than her not telling anyone about the switch, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
also,
Daphne says, get out.
Yeah, she says, get out. Where is Adriana?
Who's to say?
Where is she? When Daphne's like, please leave, I'm like, well, it's fine because there's still an adult there.
No, there isn't. Where is she?
Where the hell is she? So yeah, she's like, please leave.
Does she know? She doesn't know either, right?
I think that's Daphne's first question is
like did grandma know?
Because for Daphne, she's like, oh my god, my mom's been lying to me my entire life.
And she's like, oh, it's just my mom.
It's just my mom, not my mom and my grandma, which I think would make me feel better.
Yeah.
And then Regina is leaving and Toby comes out and comforts her. Toby and Regina's relationship is like very random to me.
It's only because of that poker episode that they have somewhat of a decent relationship. And it's just like, I don't know what happened. I heard some screaming and whatever, but whatever you did, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Toby, maybe don't speak so soon.
Yeah, Toby, you know nothing. I would walk right to Bay and maybe comfort my sister and be like, what's going on?
That would have been a good idea. Yeah, and then is that the end of the episode?
Yeah, Regina drives away. She goes to Melody, and Daphne looks out the window. That's the end of the episode.
Good episode.
This was a great episode, too. Yeah. Drama-filled.
I can't believe how much shoes on the bed we get. Because then Emmett and Bay, when they're in his room, their feet are up, but their shoes are also on.
Shoes are also on in the house and on the bed.
Do we think it's like a thing about not showing actors' feet?
I think it's just a thing, like you're on set and you don't really walk around with barefoot or just socks on.
Yeah, but like there's so much attention to detail to so many things on set. And I used to be a background actor for reference. I've worn so much like uncomfortable wardrobe that did not make sense for the setting we were in because that's what the scene called for. So it doesn't feel like they'd be like, feel free to leave your shoes on, guys.
Interesting. I don't know. I think this is such a common thing in TV shows and movies. People are always wearing shoes
in real life. Do you think it's common in real life and we just aren't seeing these people?
My parents are shoes in the house people. We're not shoes on the bed, God forbid, but they are shoes in the house people. Like, I personally am not.
Like they're outside shoes?
Yeah.
Like everywhere or just downstairs?
Everywhere.
That's crazy because when I was at your house, I was taking off my shoes.
That's because I take off my shoes.
Yeah. That's, I just think, like my default.
Yeah.
Unless someone tells me I'm going to take off my shoes.
The second I got to college, I was like, shoes off.
But when you were growing up, were you shoes off or were you shoes on?
No, I was always shoes on. Always.
So, like, when you would wake up in the morning and get dressed?
The shoes were downstairs.
Okay.
I usually took them off to go in, but, like, if I was, like, stomping around, I could wear them. I wasn't being scolded.
That's so funny. But, like, they're not a shoes on the couch. You have, like, a beautiful white couch.
Yeah, but no, we don't do shoes on the couch.
Yeah. So then it's feet on the floor if your shoes are on.
Yeah. It's just not something that's been a problem since I was, like, 7.
Yeah, it really horrifies me in TV shows.
It's such a pet peeve.
And like shoes on the coffee table.
Gross.
Yeah, gross.
A won't let me put my feet on the coffee table at all, even with socks on.
I think that a coffee table is like half of its purpose is just
I know
for you to put your feet on.
A won't let me.
Can you put like a pillow on the coffee table?
I'm gonna try
and then
actually.
Put your feet on that.
I think the problem is we do have a cat and she sheds. And the hair sticks to her feet, and then I put my feet on the table, and then I think she's like, no.
Yeah, but like, can't Piper get on that table?
Yeah, she can get everywhere.
Wait, so Piper's allowed to put her feet on the coffee table, but you're not?
You're right. I'm fine with A tonight.